Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Arbitrary 20. With the recent release of Diablo Immortal, I thought it might be cool to make a D&D character build inspired by one of the classes from that game, just with a few less microtransactions. And this definitely is more of an inspired by than an exact replica or copy of the Demon Hunter. There's going to be some features that match the Demon Hunter really well and some others that might not. We're just trying to capture the general idea. With that said, our race choice is going to be variant human. We'll take our +1s to dexterity and intelligence. Those will be our main stats on this character. And the feat we'll be taking is crossbow expert. We'll be using a hand crossbow on this character, or maybe a heavy crossbow, depending on the route you take. Though I would definitely start with a hand crossbow for sure until about level 9. For the background, that doesn't really matter too much, nothing necessary for the build. I'm always going to recommend Strixhaven. You get a free feat and expanded spell list just from your background. I just feel like I have to mention these every build I do. Our ability scores from top to bottom, assuming point buy, are a strength of 8, a dexterity of 15, +1 from our race for a total of 16, a 14 in constitution, a 15 in intelligence, +1 again from our race for a total of 16, a 10 in wisdom, and an 8 in charisma. And if you're rolling for stats, I would prioritize dexterity first, intelligence second, and constitution third. And with all that out of the way, at level 1 we'll be starting off as an artificer. We'll pick up spell casting and magical tinkering. For spell choices here, I would say pick up guidance and fairy fire for sure. And for the rest, pick whatever you would like. Guidance is just one of the best cantrips in the game, and fairy fire will be our main concentration spell for most of this character's career, as it will give us and our entire party advantage on all of our attack rolls. And magical tinkering will essentially let us make some super basic magic items. Nothing important to the build here, but it is a cool feature. And another good reason for starting Artificer here is Constitution saving throw proficiency. None of the other classes we're taking have Constitution saving throw proficiency, and it's super important for maintaining concentration on your spells. And at level 2 will be a Blood Hunter 1. I think this is definitely the class that matches the Demon Hunter archetype the most. We'll pick up the Hunter's Bane here, giving us the ability to recall information about and track Fey Fiends and Undead. And it also gives us our Hemocraft save DC. And we'll also get Blood Maledict. This gives us 1 blood curse and 1 use of it, and we'll get more blood curses and uses as we level up. I think the best blood curse to pick up here is Blood Curse of Binding. This is concentration-free control that we get once per short rest. I think this is definitely the best one. But once we get more options, some other ones to consider are Blood Curse of the Eyeless and Fallen Puppet. I like these two because they use our reaction and not our bonus action. Our bonus action will usually be taken up by shooting another shot with Crossbow Expert. Another two that could be good are Exposure and Anxious. Exposure could be useful against enemies that are resistant to our right damage to take away that resistance, or if we amplify it, we can even change immunity back to resistance. I definitely wouldn't make this my first choice, but it's not bad. And Blood Curse of the Anxious, if you amplify it, gives them disadvantage on a wisdom saving throw. If one of your party members has a super important wisdom saving throw, you can use this to help them out with that. At level 3 will be a Blood Hunter 2, and we get our fighting style here. And since we're using a crossbow, I pick up the archery fighting style for that extra +2 to hit. We also get our Crimson Right. I'm going to take the Right of the Flame because it'll go with one of the features we get later. Though honestly, that's not super important. There's some other choices you might want to make. So if you'd like to pick up a different right, go for it. And at level 4 will be a Blood Hunter 3, and we'll get our Blood Hunter Order here. And we're going to go with the Order of the Profane Soul. We'll get Pact Magic and a Right Focus here, depending on the patron we choose. And for spells here, I'd pick up Hex. If we already have Advantage somehow, this is our new best concentration spell over Fairy Fire. But Fairy Fire is still better if that's our only way to get Advantage. And for the Right Focus, I'm going to go with Fiend here, because it'll be a slight damage bump just all the time. A lot of the other ones are good, but I just don't like that they use our Blood Maledict uses, because we already have so few of those, and the Blood Curse of the Binding is quite good. So I don't really want to be using that up too much. But if there's another one you'd like, I'd say go for it. I'm not even going to calculate the bonus the Fiend gives us into the damage numbers. It's just too difficult to do for how little of a bump it is. Just treat all of our damage numbers as 1 or even just a few decimal points higher. At level 5 will be a Blood Hunter 4, and we'll pick up an ability score increase or feat. And I'm going to say take Sharpshooter here. This is a huge damage bump with the -5 +10 ability, and there's some other good features in there as well. At level 6 will be a Blood Hunter 5. We'll pick up extra attack, and our Hemocraft die will go up to a D6 from a D4. And with extra attack, our build really comes together here tactics-wise, so we'll go over the round-by-round tactics as well as our damage numbers. This build is intending to do sustained damage per round, so we're going to be setting up our concentration spell and then pretty much just shooting with our crossbow every round after that. So on round 1, we will cast Fairy Fire or Hex if you already have advantage, and then activate our right if we need to, but you can activate your right at the beginning of the day and it'll last until your next rest. So I would recommend doing that every day immediately when you wake up so it doesn't take up time in combat. Since you can shoot on the same round, it might seem like Hex is always going to be better than Fairy Fire, but since Fairy Fire applies to our entire party as well as us, I think we should only be casting Hex when we already have advantage. And then on round 2 and beyond, we'll be using our action to shoot and then Crossbow Expert to shoot again as a bonus action. So on those rounds from 2 and further where we are shooting 3 times, our damage against a 16 AC with advantage, so assuming Fairy Fire went through or we have some other way to get advantage, we will be doing 40.45 damage per round. If the Fairy Fire fails and we can't get advantage, we'll be doing 25.05 damage per round. Still pretty good for a level 6 character. And if we already had advantage and we chose to cast Hex, we would be doing 48.19 damage per round. Like I said, even the no advantage numbers are quite good for a level 6 character. They're definitely not behind in the damage department here. And at level 7, we will be a Blood Hunter 6. This will be our last level of Blood Hunter. We'll pick up the Brand of Castigation. This is a really cool feature for the tracking ability it offers, and it's also some potential additional damage during combat. I'm not going to be assuming you're using this in the damage numbers, but it is there. And we also get an additional use of our Blood Maledict and an additional Blood Curse known. I would just refer back to level 2 and just pick whichever one you thought was best there after binding. And we also get an additional first level spell slot for Pact Magic. And don't forget, even though Fairy Fire is an Artificer spell, we can use our Profane Soul spell slots to cast it. So you should be able to have a concentration spell up every combat, even if you have a lot of them per day. And at level 8, we'll be going back to Artificer here, and we'll be in Artificer 2. We get Infusions, and the 2 I'm going to recommend here that we should have active are Repeating Shot and Enhanced Defense. Repeating Shot will give us a +1 weapon, and we don't need ammo anymore, which is really cool. And Enhanced Defense will just give us a +1 to AC. At level 9 will be an Artificer 3. We will get our Artificer Specialist, and this is where we sort of need to make a choice here. The 2 best choices here, I think, are Armorer or Artillerist. Artillerist is definitely the closest match to the Demon Hunter because we get that Eldritch Cannon, aka the Sentry Turret, that we can use to be a flamethrower or a force ballista and shoot. And this is where you make the decision between the hand crossbow or the heavy crossbow. So you can use the Armorer with the hand crossbow and a shield, or we can go with the heavy crossbow and the Eldritch Cannon. They will end up doing similar damage, but I just don't like the setup of the Eldritch Cannon, so I'm gonna go with Armorer. If you think you can get the Eldritch Cannon set up before most combats, or you just like the idea of having that sentry turret better, go for it. I'm going to stick with the Armorer though, because I think it's just going to be consistently better and it's not going to require any setup. So, with that said, we get to Tools of the Trade from Armorer as our first feature. This gives us Heavy Armor and Smith's Tools proficiency, and we get Arcane Armor. The important thing from Arcane Armor is that we get no strength requirements on whatever our Arcane Armor is. For the armor model, we're going to go with Infiltrator, and I'm going to say we should upgrade to Plate Mail here. So we'll get the Lightning Launcher here. I wouldn't use this unless you're super far away out of your hand crossbow range. The important thing here is we get that +5 movement speed and we're able to upgrade to Plate Mail. This will give us a 21 AC with a shield and our enhanced defense and a 35-foot movement speed. And the Infiltrator armor model will also cancel out the disadvantage we get on stealth from Plate Mail. Though if you are going on a stealth mission or something like that, you could put on a breastplate, which would give you a -2 to your AC for a 19, which still isn't bad, and you'd have an advantage on your stealth checks. And also at Artificer 3, we get right tool for the job. If we have an extra hour, this can be part of a short rest or a long rest, we can make any tool we might need. At level 10 here, we're going to change it up again, and we're going to be a Rogue 1. And we'll pick up Expertise here. I'd say you can take this in whatever skills you would like. Stealth might be interesting since we just got advantage on that from the Infiltrator armor model. We also get Sneak Attack here. This will be our new way of increasing our sustained damage as we level up. And lastly here at Rogue 1 we get Thieves' Cant, the sort of secret rogue language. This likely won't come up too often, but it'll be nice to have when it does. And at level 11 will be a Rogue 2. We get Cunning action here. We can dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. There are tons of ways that this is useful, but it'll be super important later on once we get to level 9 in Rogue. And at level 12 will be a Rogue 3, and we get our Roguish archetype. We'll be going Arcane Trickster. We get Spellcasting and Mage Hand Legerdemain, however you say that. Just sort of cool Mage Hand stuff. And for spells, we'll pick up Find Familiar and Silvery Barbs for the third spell there, and for cantrips, I'd say pick up whichever ones you would like. Find Familiar is another way for us to get advantage through the familiar taking the help action, and Silvery Barbs will effectively give one of the targets of our concentration spell disadvantage, and one of our allies or our stealth advantage. And we'll also pick up the Steady Aim optional feature here at Rogue 3. We likely won't be using this too much, as we can just shoot again as a bonus action, and we have plenty of ways to give ourselves advantage. And we also have Curse of Binding as another good bonus action over this. And our sneak attack also increases to 2d6. And at level 13 will be a Rogue 4, and we just get an ASI or feat here, and I would recommend bumping your dexterity by 2 for a new total of 18. At level 14 will be a Rogue 5. We'll pick up Uncanny Dodge here. This will let us use our reaction to cut a damage in half. Really good for survivability, and our sneak attack will also go up to 3d6. At level 15 will be a Rogue 6. We get more expertises here. There aren't really any that are important to the build, so I would say pick whichever ones you would like. And at level 16 will be a Rogue 7. We get Evasion, the ability to take no damage on a dex save if we succeed, and half damage if we fail. It is situational, but this is a very good feature for survivability. And our sneak attack also goes up to 46 here, and we pick up second level spells. Nothing we need here yet, as we are still locked into enchantment and illusion spells at this level. At level 17 will be a Rogue 8, and we get another ASI or feat. I'd say take another +2 to dexterity here to cap us at 20. And at level 8 we do get another spell from any school of magic here. I would say to pick up Web, and I think this is our new best concentration spell, as the restrain condition will also give us advantage on our shots, so this kind of just ends up being better than Fairy Fire, I think. But if you run out of second level spell slots, or Web doesn't really work very well in your situation, you can just go back to Fairy Fire or Hex. At level 18 will be a Rogue 9. Our sneak attack goes up to 5d6, and we get Magical Ambush. I think this is the real capstone feature for this build, as we can now hide before we cast our Fairy Fire or Web, and all of the targets we cast it on get disadvantage if we successfully hid from them. I think this is our new best round 1 tactic, to hide as our bonus action and then cast a Web or a Fairy Fire, and giving all of them disadvantage, and with the Silvery Barbs we can even give one target effectively triple disadvantage. Unfortunately, this does come pretty late in the build, but this does fill out our action economy really well, as we weren't really doing much with our bonus action on turn 1 beforehand. And we'll quickly do our last 2 levels here, and then go over our level 20 damage numbers. At level 19 will be a Rogue 10, and since we're a rogue, we pick up another ability score increase or feat here, and I would say take the +2 to intelligence now that our dexterity is capped. This will raise the saving throw DC of our Fairy Fire and our Web spell. And at level 20 will be a Rogue 11. We'll pick up Reliable Talent. This makes it so all of the skills that we have proficiency and expertise in can't roll lower than a 10. I think this is one of the best features that rogues have, and often makes it so they can't even fail certain ability checks. And lastly, our sneak attack increases to 66 here at level 11. And with that, our final damage numbers against a 20 AC here at level 20 with advantage. So from Fairy Fire or the Restrain condition from the Web spell, we would do 77.16 damage per round with no advantage. So if they succeeded their saving throw on our spells, we would be doing 55.76, still pretty good. And if we already had advantage and we cast Hex, we would be doing 86.06 damage per round. Even if they succeed their saving throw and you have no way to get advantage, we're still doing quite good damage for level 20. We're about 20 points above what's considered average for this level. But yeah, that's all we have for this build. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment letting me know what you guys thought of the build. If you'd like to see our last build guide, you can check that out right here. But I hope you guys have an awesome day, and we'll see you in the next one.